Alright, take a listen. Did you hear that? Have you ever had an issue when you're testing your air brakes and you have your emergency airline hooked up and you notice that your brake chamber rods are being engaged without actually engaging the service lines? And it's a Bendix trailer, or Bendix parts in particular. I'm going to show you in this video of what I found during a PM inspection, and I'm going to show you how this valve works. So stay tuned. I got a teachable moment for you guys right here, right now. It's about valves. In particular, it's this Bendix valve. It's a R12P valve. What I was dealing with last night was I was doing a brake job, probably like a 2016 or 2018, maybe a 2020 and up. So when I was doing brakes, it was a PM inspection, and I was inspecting the brakes, and I seen they were really low. And then I was like, okay, maybe it just hasn't been changed for the first time, whatever. And then I seen all 4 tires were changed. So I went ahead and did the brakes, and as I was doing the brakes, I always have my air hooked up to my front of the trailer with the red glad hand. I just have the blue glad hand, but it's just there for, you know, whatever, until I'm done. With that being said, as I was doing my brakes, I noticed that my brake chamber rods were slowly creeping out, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what's going on. It happened to me before, like a year before. So what I thought it was at first, I thought it was a brake valve. It has a little sensor on the brake valve that comes off of, I think it's like a 4-port chamber valve. I replaced it with a used one, thinking that it might work, but because that's what it was last time, and it wasn't. So I just kept on crimping off airlines, and I realized the airline that goes from that valve that I was talking about, I'll put a picture up here. It goes to here, and it tees off here. The first tee goes from the blue glad hand in the front, and then the second tee goes off into that valve. Essentially, I traced it back to this valve, and there is a check valve that goes here, so it doesn't backfeed, I'm assuming. But this is just demonstration purposes, so it's simulating air coming from the front glad hand into this valve. So obviously you got your lines that go to specific locations on the trailer itself, but that's not what we're here for right now. What we're here for is these ports on the valve aren't supposed to be activated unless your blue service airline is engaged, which would come in through here, and your air would go in through here and then distribute it to where they need to go, right? With that being said, there should be no air backfeeding from here, you know, at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my finger right here. I'm going to hold it for a couple seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a listen. Did you hear that? I'll hold it for longer, and I'll just cut to it. All right, take a listen. Did you hear that? So essentially, this valve is the internal seals are backfeeding into this blue service line, which is not supposed to do that, which is why the brakes were being dragged, which caused the brakes to become really low, which they didn't overheat, which thankfully it's a really small leak, but eventually it would have done catastrophic damage to it. Caught it in time on the PM, which I'm going to take this valve apart too to show you how it works. But alright, so now I'm going to show you basically the internals of this valve. You take it open, you're going to have a spring, you're going to have this whole big cylinder, almost like a plunger, and on the inside you got a little plunger that compresses this down. It's just a hollow empty chamber. When our air was being supplied through here, it'll go through and around, and then it comes up through here through this port, and then from that port it goes into this little hole, which then travels down in this chamber, which is up here, and then it goes down and engages that plunger, and then that plunger is just what's going to compress up or down. I'm not too sure entirely because there's holes there. Since that air was back feeding through this right here, and then from here there's a hole on the back side that goes right there. It's only being supplied from one direction, which is going in. That should never be going back up. Either this seal's bad, or even I don't think it's going to be this outside seal because this outside seal wasn't leaking, or it's going to be this seal right here. With that being said, it's just a learning experience. I learned something today, well I guess yesterday, so thought I'd share my experience, what I did, and hopefully this helps somebody else in the future if you're struggling with an air issue. So that's how I diagnosed it. A lot of time diagnosing air systems, just crimping off airlines and just tracing it back.